We are delighted to welcome Ms. Sue Snowdon, who is the Lord Lieutenant of County Durham, for an interview to celebrate International Women's Day as part of our Ustinov Meets series. The theme for International Women's Day this year is Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World, with the tagline, Choose to Challenge. We are very pleased to welcome Ms. Snowdon to speak about her experiences and career to date. Hi, Ms. Sue. I understand that you have prepared some notes already, so would you like to start sharing?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, good afternoon to you as well. Now, a little bit about me. I'm a farmer's wife. I'm a retired head teacher, a former Justice of the Peace, and I am Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant. International Women's Day is an important day. Why? Because it's recognition of the great advancements that women have achieved. But it's also, I think you'll agree, a very stark reminder of the fact that even today there are many countries where women are denied the sort of freedoms that we enjoy. The chance to go to school, the chance to be independent, to earn a living, the chance even to stay safe. So important to stay safe and healthy, and the chance to be treated equally. Here in the United Kingdom and many other countries, women are recognised for their achievements and contributions. And it doesn't matter really what cultural party you come from, what ethnic group, political, there's no regard for these divisions. Let's think about all of the things that women do. We have the most wonderful careers in our armed forces for women. We have astronauts, we've had prime ministers, politicians, doctors, scientists, and we're welcomed into university and many other professions that were totally male-dominated. Women can now have a family. They can choose to have a family and a career. It's not a case of one or the other. They can have them both. And I think you'll agree as a younger woman, Sherry, that we can make choices. We can make real choices. Now, throughout my journey in life, which has been very interesting, and it's taken lots of turns, it's a bit like one of those roller coasters. I've been privileged to meet many inspirational women. My mother was a wonderful role model. I was 13 when she had her first surgery for cancer. And at that point, my life changed dramatically because my younger brother is 10 years younger. So he was a very, very small boy. But we had a strong family, and my father always said to me, we haven't had her long, but we've probably had more than some people ever experience. That's a good foundation. So she imbued me with the most highest of ethical and moral codes, respect. That was important, respect, courtesy, valuing other people, working hard, having that support, those foundations, that family and friends in your life. She was only 42 when she lost her life with cancer. And I've often thought over the last years, what would she have thought about what I'm doing now, all of the turns that I've taken? From childhood, there was only one career for me, and that's I wanted to be a teacher. I'm passionate about young people being given every chance in life, irrespective of gender, ethnicity, or background. Now, I'm a County Durham girl. I was born and bred here. The only time that I ever left County Durham was I went up to Newcastle for studying. So I really just crossed the river and then came back. But at the time that I began my teaching career here in the early 70s, there was in this region more social economic deprivation than in many other parts of the country. And it very quickly became clear to me that there were cohorts of young people who would never get a chance to change the trajectory of their life simply because they didn't have the opportunity. There were too many children that had no aspiration and no hope. And I was always determined that every child, every single child, would reach their full potential. Now, I was very fortunate because I had the opportunities to work both in mainstream education and in special education. And whilst I encountered, as you can imagine, many challenges, I also experienced the most wonderful people, wonderful communities, neighbourlessness. And for me, I never regretted my career choice. Now, 1989, I've referred to in my notes that I sent you. Not a good year for me at all. I just got my first headship, and you can imagine, that was the pinnacle of my career, and I had no idea what would happen to me that year. But I went for a routine medical examination to be told that my aortic valve had perished, and I was whisked immediately into hospital for surgery. And my husband was told that simply, had it not been picked up, I wouldn't have been here at Christmas. Now, next week, it'll be 32 years since I had that valve replacement. Now, it took a long time to get back to full health, and to be told that I wasn't able to return to my career. I think you can imagine the effect that it had upon me. I was absolutely devastated. I didn't know what I was going to do. I examined me, what skills did I have? It was really a very, very difficult time. I also had an opportunity to look at my relationship with my husband, because I'd been so focused on my career that I'd actually perhaps neglected him. And then he took over as my primary carer, and it gave me an opportunity to reevaluate my life. Now, for many years following the loss of my parents with cancer, I'd been involved with the most amazing group of people. It was the Durham Committee of the North of England Cancer Research. And we raised monies that went to fund the incredible work that was going on in the Newcastle hospitals, tamoxifen, Taxol, all these things that were developed locally. And at that point, we didn't have a hospice here in this part of Durham. And the Butterwick Hospice wanted to open a palliative care facility. And they were looking for somebody that would actually drive that project forward. And they asked me. And I can remember the first telephone call. And I said, well, I don't know whether I've got the skills. I've never managed, I've never been involved in a project like this. But I thought, well, I've got to give this a shot. And my husband said, oh, no. And my cardiologist said, no. But every week, this gentleman from the hospice telephoned me. And in the end, I persuaded those people in my life that cared that it was something that I wanted to give a shot at. I wanted to try. And it was a very important part of my life, because I got there on the first Monday morning and I had a telephone and I had a notepad and a pencil. That was it. And to be part of such a facility and to see the way that it has grown to the operation it is today was absolutely an enormous privilege. And I met some of the most incredible people, patients, families, and I saw the loving care that was given, volunteers who gave of their time to come, work in the kitchen, work in the garden. A very, very special time. Then in 1990, I was appointed as a Justice of the Peace and trained to sit in adult courts and the adult criminal world and family courts. And given my background in education, it was the family proceedings that really were of interest, because I felt that the experience that I'd gained in education would be of use, of value within that. And that was a decision, a very good decision, because I think for all family magistrates or anyone involved in the care of children, it's a huge responsibility deciding on the future of, and in many cases, many vulnerable children. I implemented a scheme called Magistrates in the Community, and this was delivered into schools and colleges and community groups. And that's an initiative. It was to get rid of the myths about the criminal justice system, You know, you're talking to children in school and you'll say, where do you want to go on holiday? And it was always Florida. Well, do you realize that, you know, if you have a criminal record, that won't be happening? So it was destroying that kind of myth. And it was a valuable opportunity because it gave me a chance to debate with young people the key issues that were surrounding right and wrong. And as I said, the personal consequences. In 23 years that I served as a magistrate, there were many, many changes and challenges. And I have a passion today for the judicial system and the role of the magistracy. And I want to see this, it's again a very historic role, so I want to see it survive, but I do recognize that it needs to change to make it more accessible and relevant to today's world. Magistrates are an amazing group of people. They're flexible, they're valuable, they're volunteers. This is the thing. I meet so many people who are volunteers and they're giving of themselves and they're often juggling very busy working lives and family lives with what they do. But I think with magistrates, the most important thing is that they deliver justice effectively, speedily, and with a dignity. And it's interesting that many other countries have based their judicial system on the one here. So that's been quite an interesting role. I still am involved. I'm chairman of the Cleveland, Darlington and County Durham Advisory Committee, which is responsible for appointing and training magistrates. And I'm also on the Office of Justice Steering Group, which is looking at recruitment and retention. Right, the relationship between the lieutenancy and the magistracy is very long-standing, and it stems from the appointment of Lord Lieutenants as Custos Rotolorum, or Keeper of the Rolls. It's a very, very long-standing relationship. In March 2013, on Women's International Day, it just happened to coincide, I took up office as Lord Lieutenant of County Durham, Her Majesty the Queen's personal representative. Now, this is a historic office. Its roots go back to Tudor times, the first Lord Lieutenant being appointed by King Henry VIII. So the appointment is given by the Queen. And it is a huge privilege and a great honour to hold this. And it's made more significant by the fact that I'm the very first woman in history to hold this appointment in County Durham. And I think that whilst the lieutenancy is still very much male dominated, it shows that the girls are creeping in. Now, it's the most amazing role. It's a very diverse role. There's lots of responsibilities that come with it. But as Her Majesty's representative, it is my first and foremost duty to uphold the dignity of the Crown. That's the most important thing. To promote and encourage voluntary service, and to be interested in the business and industrial and community life here in County Durham. My area covers County Durham, Darlington, Stockton-upon-Tees and Hartlepool. Now, as you'll find when you come to Durham, it's the most wonderful, incredible area. It has an absolutely, how can I describe it? It's a rich heritage, both Christian and industrial. So many things started here in this part of the world. So you can imagine to be the Queen's eyes and ears here is quite something. Today it's largely a ceremonial role, representing Her Majesty at informal and formal events. My duties are, as I said, diverse, presenting medals, awards, troop inspections, attending special church services, maintaining strong links with the armed forces and the associated cadets. That's been really good fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed, I've been to camp with the young people, and although I don't do the tent bit, I don't go under canvas, but I've really enjoyed seeing the way these young people develop. Organising royal visits is part of my remit, and escorting the royal visitors when they're in County Durham. On March the 8th, This year, I will have been in post for 8 years. I'm amazed and I'm very humbled by the number of people who I meet who are so willing to support their communities and organizations and charities. And it's not just about raising money, it's about being mentors, about supporting, giving support, being interested. I think we'll all agree that the last year has been traumatic and very painful in many different ways. But one of the positive benefits has been the way that communities have come together and they've worked together to support the isolated, the vulnerable, and the elderly. My aims, well, they're very simple. I want to encourage a sense of pride in our region. I want to recognise achievements and excellence, and I want to promote service to others. Now, you've just had a little bit of my story there, my journey. I've experienced major health problems, times of hardship, lots of laughter, lots of tears, but I've taken the opportunities that presented themselves. I've enjoyed great friendships, support, love, laughter. I have a rock in my life, that's my husband. He says all he needs is a magnet to keep me at home, and it doesn't work. But I think looking at women and looking at the theme of your interviews, I think we've got to remember that in every human endeavour, be it a family, a community, the workplace, education places, you will find women who are holding things together. There are two Queen Elizabeths that impress me. Queen Elizabeth I, and I often think about this, and it was in 1588 on the eve of the battle with the Spanish Armada, and Queen Elizabeth I went out to address her troops, and she said, "I know I have the body of a weak, feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king of England. I will take up arms. I myself will be your general, judge and rewarder of every one of your virtues in the field." Our present Queen, Elizabeth II, on her 21st birthday, made a broadcast from South Africa, and she promised to serve her people, to serve us. And she said, "I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service." And indeed, Her Majesty, our Queen, has. She has given her life to this service, to us, to her people. And to be her personal representative, I think, for me, is the highest honour that a woman could have. I firmly believe that if you take the initiative and you pursue your dreams, you can achieve remarkable things. Women can make a difference. Women do make a difference. We can't change the past or the inevitable. The story about our lives is about one thing, and that's what we make of it. So I would say, take the opportunities. Don't think if things don't work out quite the way you plan, that you failed. You haven't. You've experienced something, a positive experience. So learn from it. Have self-belief. Have that resilience to drive yourself forward, and you can achieve anything. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, so very much, and for providing that insight in your personal and professional life. It is absolutely amazing that you are the first woman in history to hold the Lord Lieutenant appointment in County Durham. And as you said, the girls are really creeping in a way we have always been fighting for, but can never quite imagine. So what is your motivation for undertaking this role?
Well, I think, I looked at your question and I thought, my goodness me, you really have thought a great deal about what I've had to say. I thought long and hard and had a lot of discussion with my husband about taking this role. And I felt that as a woman in this particular time in life, to be given an opportunity to serve in this way and actually promote all of the good things that are going on was something that I couldn't turn down. So basically, I thought, now, I've got an opportunity here to recognize what's going on, to promote what's going on, and celebrate. So that's why I felt I had something to give.
Yes, that's very amazing. Yeah, take the opportunity when it present yourself, just like what you said in your speech. Thank you. So how about, do colleagues, friends, and family help and support you during this position? And how do you manage to keep a balance between family and your work? Because you just shared that some history about neglecting and a lot of love and laughter in your family.
Yes. I put that question, Cherie, to my family when I read it, when you said about life-work balance. And they all started to laugh. And I said, but you don't. You just attack each day. You take each day as it comes. I think it's been able to sit down and to speak to my family, to question them, to know that I have their support. They're not frightened to say, we don't agree with what you're doing, or you're doing too much. It's having that friendship, that, again, it comes down to respect, doesn't it? I think that they're prepared to question me, and I'm prepared to ask help from them. But life-work balance is quite difficult, I have to tell you. That's one of the things as a woman. I've always been somebody that made lists, and I tick them off when I've got things done, Yes, so that is a tough one. That is a very tough one, to take time for yourself. And I think we all need to take time out. I can always remember my mother saying, make sure in these busy life that you'll have as you get older to take a little time for you, whether it's going for a walk, reading a book. For me, it's reading and it's gardening.
Right. Thank you very much. Yes, I always remember my mom that when I asked her why she is always working, and my mom said, because working makes a woman beautiful. Yeah, this is it's a way of thinking. Yes. So, thank you. How do you think a woman in the role may have made a difference, both in the way the role is undertaken, but also in how it is perceived?
The first year was really quite difficult, because everyone expected that the Lord Lieutenant was going to be a man. And I had a lot of very funny situations where we thought the Lord Lieutenant was coming today. And I say, yes, I'm here. And of course, the male version of me has a rather smart uniform, which I don't. I think it's something you make your own. I like people. I like meeting people. I enjoy meeting people. And I like to find out about them. And I think that women have that capacity to perhaps draw that kind of information in a softer way. So, so I think it is a role that you make your own. As I said about going to camp with the young people, for them, it was them seeing the Lord Lieutenant. Oh my goodness, she wears jeans and trainers. So I think perhaps it's something. It is. It's making your own. It's going out there, getting to know people, finding out what they're doing, being interested.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure I'm just really feeling the kindness from you that we are actually enjoying this interview and share some really great stories here. And you served as a magistrate for 23 years, which is, oh my God, so long, right? And during that, you set up the magistrate in the community program.
Yeah.
Yes. So what was your motivation, and what do you consider to be the most important outcome of this program?
Right. Well, I think at the time when I thought about doing this, I often picked up in the newspaper, I would read something about a court case. And I remember saying to my husband, that was the case that I sat on, and I worked on it for a number of days, and it was reduced into about an inch of print, a few centimeters of print. And it was impossible within that time to really get the feel of the case and how difficult it had been. And it made me realize that we needed to have a way of promoting the magistracy. So people had an understanding of the time that was taken to come to a decision, the facts that we took into consideration, basically how the courts worked. And one of the things we used to do, we would have court open days, and we would invite members of the community to come in and actually see the facilities and talk to people. And I wanted to take that a step further. So Magistrates in the Community was about developing and delivering quite a diverse range of programs and presentations to suit a wide range of audience, from community groups into schools. Now, I developed a team, and for instance, if I give you an example, going into a school before the actual presentation, I would talk to the staff about problems that the young people were experiencing, and it might have been something like antisocial behaviour, underage drinking, and I would devise the presentation around those specific issues. So it was very, very meaningful and current to them. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to give them an insight into not just the criminal justice system, but the long-term effects of them having a criminal record. Right. The impact that it would have upon their lives. Whether they wanted to take a post as say a gardener, but you're doing somebody's private house and they ask for some references, and it says that you've had you've been in court. So it was the long-term impact. So I wanted them to know just the impact it would have upon them personally and the consequences. But I also wanted to look at it as a means of recruiting people who were interested in becoming a magistrate. So it was sort of developing, letting people know about the debate that went into finding somebody guilty or innocent, that it might be, say, driving whilst disqualified, but the two outcomes could be very, very different. And saying to people, yes, because the circumstances surrounding that are different, and each case has to be treated on its own merits. So that was really why I did it. I think it was important for me that people had a greater understanding of the role of magistrates, and as I said, the consequences. And that's why I aimed it very much at young people.
Thank you very much. Yes, definitely. I think the court system, especially for the for under 18, can really have a great impact for people, so that they can learn how to be more responsible about their reactions and actions in the future endeavor. So this is absolutely a great program, and thank you for organizing that. And I'm sure that the future will be better and better, because more and more people will involved in this program.
Yes.
Next question is, we are currently living through COVID-19, and both women and men are facing challenges. So physical and mental health is a great prerequisite for a life of purpose and a life of love, just like what you said. Mm-hmm. Given your own health-related experience, what has sustained you during very challenging times?
I think the impact over the last year with COVID, regardless of age or gender, has been horrific and traumatic. I think for many, they're facing still today uncertainty about employment, the well-being of their families. Young people, I know from my own young people here, they're concerned about their education and future opportunities. And I think for me, all of these considerations remain a very, very stark reminder of why we should all do our utmost to observe the current guidelines. I think it's important to remember that this is a global problem, that all our communities over the world are being faced with at the moment. And there will be, sadly, there will be a lot of mental health problems that are going to come from the social isolation and the worries and the anxieties that people have had. What sustained me? Well, it has to go back to my family. everything from me comes from my family. If my husband, my brother and my father were okay, were fit, I was. It all came from that. I think their love, their support of family and friends, and the encouragement that they've given me, always, give it a shot, go and try. And my church family has also been very important in that I felt that I question and I feel that I can serve in that way, that there are so many ways that I can go out. I mean, one of the things being homebound, I've been writing. I think so far it's about 600 or 700 letters to organisations and individuals, because I feel that there's so much good work going on out there. And these people will be feeling battered and bruised and exhausted. And they need to know that somebody in my position recognises and values what they're doing. But for me, during this pandemic, the positives have been the way people have supported one another. I think that's the support, and that's something that I hope will continue. I hope that answers your question. That was a tough one.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's very much true, because I am in China now, but I feel like much loved because I can always talk with my mom and my father when I encountered some difficulties with my research. So it is so lucky that people can still reach out during COVID-19, even though sometimes it's online and virtually.
Yes. I mean, I think we've all become, I'm a total technophobic. And for me to be doing this is, I tell you, it's a real achievement to be doing something like this. But yes, I think people have reached out. They've reached out and put their arms around one another.
Yes, definitely. I have friends frequently checking me in about, how are you? And are you doing okay? Do you need a virtual coffee or something? And I only met her this semester. So This is really something new. Yeah.
Yes, and it has to continue, hasn't it? It has to continue. I think we all of our ages have to embrace this. This morning I did a virtual leadership course with people that were part of women within the armed forces. And it was aimed at women in business, and it was about empowering women. And we talked about reliance and self-belief and having that confidence to move forward. And I think with women, not being frightened of taking the next step, not being frightened of giving it a shot. As I said, with me, I thought, right, I'm going to give that a shot, you know? But I'm a bit of a perfectionist. My husband and I were talking about this yesterday, and he said, but you've always been a perfectionist. Even if you baked a cake and it didn't look the right shape, you were never very happy with it. I think it's giving of yourself. It's giving of yourself, which is the important thing, and recognizing others and being prepared to reach out. Being prepared to reach out and say, I can help you, and also I could do with some help. I could do with a hug.
Yes, that's the way to do it. Thank you. Thank you so much for inspiring us. Okay, so our next question is, you have mentioned that the importance of not taking yourself too seriously. How has this helped you to navigate the various career paths that you have been taken?
Well, as I said to you, I like people. I enjoy meeting new people. I'll probably be remembered as the Lord Lieutenant who's a bit of a chatterbox, because I love talking to people. Not taking myself too seriously. I think I've always tried my best, and I've always given my best. I've listened to advice. I've relished the opportunities to engage with people. And particularly in this role here, I see the role that I hear as one, I'm here to serve these communities. So I do laugh at myself, I'm always sort of tripping myself up about various things, but I prepare. I think you've got to go in well prepared to anything. I think partnerships are crucial to all of us. Mm-hmm. And getting a strong team around you I think that's very, very important. So for me, it's the preparation, it's the partnerships, and it's the people. But it's also giving of your best.
Yes, it's all about the people around you so that you can have a vision and so that you can achieve it. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is the only way to go.
Yes.
And I also have noted that you have been saying no regrets multiple times when encountering so many changes and challenges and so many difficulties. So why do you consider this to be important? Is it the ultimate secret?
My ultimate secret. I think I'm somebody who, if I didn't do things, I would really regret it. I think, if I didn't do it, if I didn't take the opportunities, then I'd look back and I would have regrets. So that's why I say I don't look at failure, I look at opportunity.
Yes.
And I take the sort of the word failure, I put that to one side and I think, oh, that's a lesson learned. That's a lesson learned. I also remember many years ago reading something about Edison with his batteries. And someone had said to him, well, you've had 100 and something that failures. And he said, no. He said, I've tried 100 and whatever times and it didn't work. And I've gone on to develop something else. So I think it's about taking those opportunities. And I certainly would have, how can I describe it? Ultimate secret. I'm a can-do person.
Can-do person.
A can-do person. Does that give you a sort of, I'm a can-do person.
Yes, I think you really are, because you said every failure, you can treat it like a positive experience that you can learn something from them, right?
Yes.
I will definitely try them. So if you could speak to yourself at 21st years old, knowing all that you know now, about the can-do attitude, about seizing opportunity and embrace love and family, but what advice would you give to yourself? Only one.
Take the opportunities. Take the opportunities. Take the opportunities, particularly as a woman. Take the opportunities. When I was told that I'd been nominated for this position, and I said to my husband, "What do you think? It's going to have a huge impact on our lives, because it's not a day-to-day job. It's a life that you take on." And I said, "It will impact upon us." And he said, "The fact that you are a woman and has been offered this chance, you have to do it. You have to do it."
Very lovely.
You have to do it, yeah. And that's why I always say he's my rock. But he said, in a woman in today's world being given this opportunity, you've got to do it.
Yes, we got to do it. So next time anybody asks me why I want to be a PhD doctor, that's my answer. I got it.
Yeah, you've got to do it. Make the most of the opportunities. Each day we learn something new. Every day. It's keeping that open mind. Meeting people and taking from them. There's always something you will take from them.
Yes, it's always full of adventures and surprises, and they're really great. That will support you through most hard times.
Yes.
And thank you. Yes, thank you so much for sharing a lot of them with us today and providing us with such insightful and engaging responses to our questions. Do you want to add anything further to this interview?
No, I just hope I've given you a lot to think about. As I say, girls, get out there. Take the opportunities, stay safe, but take the opportunities. Embrace them.
Definitely embrace them and take the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Snowdon. And it has been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you.